Why be a Christian? It is a good question to start our sermon series with because it gets to the heart of what we are all doing here. Why do we do this thing called worship anyway? Why is it that this place, this hour, this part of our lives is a good use of our time? It's a big question, and there are many good answers to it. More answers than I can give in a sermon. So I am going to give you today 3 reasons why I am a Christian. They aren't the only 3 reasons, but they are the ones that I will preach on this Sunday. And there are many Sundays to come, so I'm sure we'll cover some other ones in the years ahead. The 3 reasons that I am a Christian are because it is healthy, it is honest, and it is true. So reason number 1, it is healthy. Part of being a Christian is communal worship. You can be a Christian theoretically without participating in a community, but it doesn't really matter much if you do that, because fundamentally your faith is all about you, and it is neither being fed and challenged by, nor feeding and challenging the people around you. And the scriptures are pretty clear that this faith, this Christian faith, is and has always been best as a group project. Where 2 or 3 are gathered, the scriptures tell us there God is. And so, why then do we worship? The awesome thing about living in 2021 is that science has now studied congregational worship. And it can tell us some things that if you worship regularly, you may have already guessed. This thing we do every week, this worship, is actually a spectacular neurological tool to help us change our brains for the better. It moves our brains from their baseline state of self-focus and expands them into thinking about larger concepts and those beyond ourselves. Worship generates a host of positive activity in our neuro pathways. Specifically, people who engage in worship and prayer have more activity in their anterior cortex, the center that controls love, compassion, and empathy. Regular worship attendees show more positive states of mind, a higher sense of self-esteem, and increased self-love. Many people tell me that they don't know why, but they just feel better when they come to worship. And that feeling, it isn't a quirk or a preference. It can be measured. Your brain is healthier through engaging in the chief action of Christian life, which is connecting with others and connecting with God. And if anyone is interested in learning more about that, I would love to give you things to read. So reason number 2. Reason number 2, it is honest. And this reason is specific to the context of our place and our time. 2021 in the United States of America. To be Christian in this time and in this place is to be fully implicated in the mess of our political and social and ethical conversations. Being Christian in this country, from Jesus for President flags at the Capitol, on January 6th of this year to long-winded speeches from our hopeful politicians about the importance of their Christian upbringing is complicated. Christianity pervades our national conversation, often in ways that stray far from the faith and the values that we find in our scripture. And so there was a long time when I found this part of the Christian faith to be abhorrent. I wanted a faith that felt more pure, more detached from the news cycle, more apart, and if I'm honest, often less embarrassing. I wanted a faith that was less embarrassing. But now, this is one of the chief reasons that I claim my faith. Because this faith, Christianity, is for most of us here in this room and online and in our community, it is the religion of our ancestors. It is the religion of our families and our communities. It is the faith that we are most claimed by and most responsible for. Many of you know that I spent part of my childhood in India. And in India, Hinduism is incredibly political. In Japan, Buddhism has a fraught relationship with the state and state-sponsored violence. But here in America, Christianity is involved in our institutions. And this here is our own backyard. This, I believe, is our work. It is nice to sit in your yard and dream about someone else's and think that perhaps over there they don't have any weeds. But for me, at least, the most courageous thing seems to be to stay in your own yard and accept the work and the blessings that you find there. So number 3, I'm a Christian because it is true. There are a lot of things that you can find out there that promise you health and wealth and carefree living. They promise to make your life easier, or your waist smaller, or your net worth larger. They claim that they are winners. And if you follow them, you will be a winner too. The thing that is remarkable about Christianity is that our God is the only God who loses for us. The idea that our God came down to earth and became fully human and fully vulnerable, fully like me and fully like you, is exceptional in the narratives of the major faith traditions. The God we encounter in Jesus is fundamentally different, and the chief difference is in his weakness. This God is not the strongest man in an economy of strong men, not better than everyone else in a terrible losing game, not even a king among kings, but instead God in the flesh of a poor brown boy, living as a minority under one of the most brutal occupations that the world has ever seen. We worship a God of infinite power who relinquished that power to come and walk beside us, literally walk with sore feet and a hungry belly. And this God does not explode in a fiery cloud of power when hate comes for him, but instead allows himself to be crucified, killed, in order that our minds might comprehend that there is truly nowhere we can go where God is not, and nothing that we can do that God can't love us through. And that power and might are not the answer to the equation, but love is. Our God does not promise us an easy road, but instead promises that he will walk beside us come what may. And the world tested that promise on the cross and found it to be true. And it is still true today. And so that is why I am a Christian. Because it is healthy. Because it is honest. And because it is true. Why are you a Christian? As this week continues, I invite you to think about that, to write about it, to pray about it, maybe even to talk about it with someone. After all, this is a beautiful sunny morning in Maine, and here you are, spending your time with these people, worshiping this God. And so it is worth thinking about why that is. Blessings on your reflections, and praise be to God.